Hey, I wanted to make this video for you if you have spent most of your life secretly exhausted. Maybe on the outside you are the reliable one, the peacekeeper, the person who never makes a scene, who is always understanding, and who is praised for being so mature and so easygoing. But inside, you carry this quiet, persistent half feeling. A subtle emotional loneliness, like you are constantly giving, holding space, and managing the temperature of every room you walk into, while nobody is holding space for you. If you have ever felt like you have to earn your place in people's lives by being useful, hyper-accommodating, or perfectly self-sufficient, I want to tell you something directly from my heart. I am there too. I have these feelings, and you are just too nice, you are broken, and your exhaustion isn't a personality flaw. What you experience is actually a very specific psychological survival pattern. So today, we are going to sit down and unpack one of the most transformative books ever written on this exact dynamic. Dr. Lindsay and Gibson's work called Adult Children of Immature Parents. If you ever have felt like you had to grow up too fast, or that you were the emotional adult in your home long before you were ready, grab a cup of tea, make yourself comfortable, and let's go deep into why you became this way and how to finally come back home to yourself. So I read this entire book and it completely changed my life and helped me so much to understand my own patterns and how my childhood made me feel this lonely person who is always trying to find something or somebody to fill me up, to make me feel happy and loved. That after reading this book, the only thing I could think was, I need to talk about it. I need to make a video about it, because I'm sure I'm not the only one going through all of this. So to understand why we burn ourselves out, trying to fix and please everyone in adulthood, we first have to understand what it actually means to grow up around an emotionally immature parent. So when we think of neglect or trauma, we usually imagine obvious things like physical absence, over-conflict, or cruelty. But Dr. Gibson points out that emotional neglect is often invisible. It is not what happened to you. It's actually what didn't happen for you. It's the absence of emotional atonement. So an emotionally mature parent isn't necessarily a bad person. They may have fed you, clothed you, sent you to school, and loved you the best way they knew how. But psychologically, they operate with the emotional capacity of a young child. So when life gets stressful or feelings get intense, emotionally immature parents lack what psychologists will call emotional self-regulation. So here's how Dr. Gibson breaks down their core characteristics. First, low stress tolerance. They react to stress impulsively rather than responding thoughtfully. So small problems turn into major family crises. 2, subjective reality over fact. How they feel about a situation becomes the ultimate truth. If they feel offended, you are disrespectful, regardless of your intent or the reality. 3, fear of genuine intimacy. Deep vulnerability scares them. They pull back from authentic emotional conversations because sitting with someone else's pain requires sitting with their own unhealed wounds. And 4, role reversal. Instead of soothing the child's distress, They expect the child to suit them. They use guilty, silent treatment, or outbursts to force the family to cater to their emotional climate. So growing up in an environment like this leaves a child with a profound sense of emotional loneliness. You learn early your inner world, your true thoughts, your sad feelings, your boundaries is inconvenient or even dangerous to express. So Dr. Gibson will categorize emotionally mature parents into 4 distinct types. You might recognize one specific style in your childhood home, or a blend of a few together. That's what happened to me. So the first is the emotional parent. This parent lives on an emotional roller coaster. Their moods dictate the entire household atmosphere. When they are happy, everyone can breathe. Their children learn to become hypervigilant, emotionally weather sensors, constantly checking the room's energy before deciding if it is safe to exist. And that was exactly how was my childhood. The second is the driving parent. On paper, this parent looks fantastic. They are ambitious, goal-oriented, and fiercely focused on their children's achievements, grades, or success. But here's the trap. They care deeply about your performance, but remain completely blind to your inner experience. They want to control your life path to reflect well on them, leaving you feeling like a project rather than a person. And then the passive parent. This is the nice or fun parent who avoids all conflict. While they might feel more sensible than a volatile parent, they completely abandon their parental authority when things get tough. When the other parent is raging or toxic, the passive parent looks the other way, minimizes the harm, or plays the victim. They leave the child unprotected, teaching the child that no one has their back. And the last one is a rejecting parent. This parent is an emotional brick wall. They are distant, irritable, and openly dismissive of the child's presence or needs. They command the room by making clear that bothering them is a mistake. Children of rejecting parents often grow up believing that their very existence is an inconvenient burden to other people. So now, how does a child survive growing under these conditions? Dr. Gibson discovered that children split into 2 distinct coping styles: externalizers and internalizers. Externalizers cope with emotional pain by acting outward. When they are anxious or overwhelmed, they blame external circumstances, act out impulsively, demand that the outside world change to comfort them, and rely on external soothing like substances, attention, or control. However, chances are high that you are an internalizer. I am definitely an internalizer. Internalizers are highly perceptive, sensitive, and mentally active children. When a problem occurs in home, the internalized looks inward. So what did I do wrong? How can I be better? If I just try harder, adjust my tone, or become more helpful, maybe they will finally love and notice me. Internalizers believe that life is a continuous journey of self-improvement. They possess immense empathy and problem-solving skills. But here is the tragic downfall of the internalizing adulthood. You assume that keeping relationships intact requires you to do 100% of the emotional labor. You take total responsibility for fixing problems you didn't create, while suppressing your own needs to keep the peace. So because you learned as a child that your raw emotions overwhelmed your parents, you develop what Dr. Gibson calls a role self. So to stay safe and connected to an emotionally immature parent, you consciously or unconsciously bury your true self and construct a role self. So your role self is the persona you adopt to survive. The good boy or the good girl that never complains, the counselor who listens to mama's or dad's marital problems, the achiever who brings home straight A's so the parent can feel proud, the invisible one who stays quiet in the room so as not to stir up trouble. You tell yourself, if I play this role perfectly, I will finally earn the emotional warmth I crave. This subconscious hope is what Gibson calls the healing fantasy. Your healing fantasy is the secret narrative you carry into adulthood. It sounds like, if I just explain my feelings clearly enough, my parents will finally get it and apologize. If I work hard enough and fix my partner, they will finally give me the safe love I need. So here's the painful truth that unlocks healing. Your role self cannot build a real, authentic relationship. Why? Because a relationship built on a role is just play acting, and your healing fantasy will never come true with an emotionally mature person, because you are asking a psychologically empty bank to cash a check it simply doesn't have the currents to honor. So how do we break free from the role self, let go of the healing fantasy, and stop burning ourselves out for people who cannot meet us halfway? So Dr. Gibson provides 3 master keys for navigating relationships with emotionally immature people, whether it's a parent, a boss, or a partner. So the first one is to practice detached observation. So instead of jumping into the emotional storm with an immature person, step back mentally and view them like a scientist studying behavior. Notice their reactive, their emotional age, and their defensive moves without taking them personally. When you shift from reacting to observing, you step out of the child role and reclaim your adult agency. And second, express and let go. So when you need to stay a boundary or a feeling to an emotionally immature person, stay it clearly, calmly, and briefly, and then let go of needing them to agree or understand. So the old way would be stating a boundary and spending 2 hours arguing to prove you're justified. The new way would be, I won't be able to make it to dinner this Sunday. When they guilt trip you, you don't defend or explain. You express your truth. Their reaction is their responsibility, not yours. And the third is to focus on outcomes, not the relationship. So stop going into interactions with the secret hope of achieving deep emotional intimacy. Instead, set clear practical goals for the interaction. So for example, my goal for this 20-minute phone call is to check in on Dad's health and gracefully end the call when he starts complaining about my choices. So when you focus on practical outcomes rather than emotional validation, you protect your peace. And that's the goal here. And the fourth way is waking up to a true self. Reconnecting with your true self means giving yourself permission to have inconvenient feelings. Your anger, your fatigue, your preferences, and your need for rest are not defects. They are your nervous system internal GPS returning online. So self-love isn't bubble baths. It is the radical act of reparenting. It's sitting in the quiet room with your inner child and saying, I am so sorry I made you carry the adults for so long. I am the adult now, and you don't have to manage the room anymore. We are safe. It is so important for you to tell your inner child those words. And that will definitely shift how you feel about yourself. So when you begin to apply these psychological tools, something deeper happens inside you. You start to face a profound existential question. If I am no longer living to suit everyone else, who am I living for? For so many of us who grow up as internalizers, making yourself the priority feels inherently wrong or selfish. We were conditioned to believe that love means self-sacrifice, and that putting your needs first is a form of betrayal. But if you look at this through a spiritual, mystical lens, we discover a radical truth. Recognizing yourself as the center of your own life is not self-absorbed. It is a sacred responsibility. In ancient Buddhism teachings, the Buddha gave his disciples one of his final and most famous instructions before he passed. Be an island unto yourself. Be a refugee unto yourself, seeking no external refuge. Notice what he didn't say. He didn't say become a doormat for others. He didn't say abandon your inner sanctuary to keep the peace outside. In Buddhist philosophy, the mind you walk around with is the primary lens through which the entire universe is experienced. You are the origin point of your reality. So if your inner island is constantly destroyed, neglected, or invaded by the demands of others, you have no stable ground from which to offer genuine compassion to the world. As the Buddha famously noted, you can search the entire universe for someone more deserving of love and affection than yourself, and that person will not be found anywhere. You are the center of your life. So mystical traditions across the world echo this exact truth. You are not a guest in someone else's story, trying desperately to earn a side character role. You are the main priority of your life journey. So when you abandon your own boundaries to keep an emotionally immature person happy, you aren't practicing love. You are practicing fear. True self-love is the realization that your primary spiritual duty is to become a safe, loving parent to your own soul. So when you make yourself your own island and your own refugee, your love for others stops coming from a place of desperate exhaustion and starts flowing from an overflowing cup. So when you step out of your old role self and claim your place as the main priority in your life, the world around you might shift. People who are used to you have no boundaries might get uncomfortable. They might call you change, cold, or selfish. When that happens, take a deep breath and remind yourself, you are not being selfish. You are simply refusing to participate in a dynamic of mutual self-abandonment any longer. You do not owe anyone your identity in exchange for their love. Emotional maturity will never ask you to erase your island just to keep them comfortable. Thank you for sitting today with me and going deep into this work. If this conversation felt like a safe place for your heart, please subscribe, leave a comment, sharing your thoughts, and share this video with someone who might need to hear these words today. Take a deep breath Take care of your beautiful heart. And I will talk to you very, very soon.